Welcome back, Daniel, to another episode of Far From Finished.
Hey, what's up, Josh?
It's a lot of silence there, bud.
How are we doing? I was trying to fathom what you were just doing just now, but it's all good. I
Living,
think
bro. It's what I do.
you're doing a great job. Keep it up. If you didn't catch that because of the theatrics going on over here from Josh, welcome back, everybody, to Far From Finished with your host.
You gonna say your name?
Daniel.
Okay. And Josh, thank you guys for joining us once again. Back at it again. This is going to be an episode without a guest, so we can switch it back up, get you a little bit more personal contact between me and Daniel. Have some more guests on soon, so get you guys excited about that. Trying to schedule some things out.
Yeah,
But,
we're looking forward to having a few more guests on here. We'll have them here and there. Once again, don't expect anything ever. We'll do what we feel and just keep it going as we go, and we'll plan it accordingly. So
Yeah.
don't expect it to just be this or we'll have a guest. We'll do what we feel whenever.
Expect to be kept on your toes. That's what we're here for.
There you go. And if you tuned in last week, we talked a little bit about intuition. And I give a challenge here and there. Every once in a while, I'll give a challenge for the people. And if you've been meditating, or you've started, or you've been working on self-improvement, congratulations to you. Keep it up. That's a big deal, and it takes a lot of time and effort and just consistency to keep those things going. And we're really happy for those that are starting to get that taken care of. And if you haven't started, it's okay. Things take time, and everyone's a little bit different.
I disagree. It's not okay. Get your shit together.
Okay, there we go. But with that being said, a little challenge I guess I want to give you is what we had talked about last week was more so, you have a lot of thoughts going through your head constantly, and that is what can cause anxiety or depression. Just overthinking and letting your mind get the best of you. I'd say for the next couple of days, or starting today, just let your inner voice guide you. Let your instincts guide you a little bit. And I don't mean reactionary instincts. If someone says something, jumping out and saying something. Kind of like sit on it a moment and just like take some deep breaths and let yourself just guide you into the next decision. Don't overthink it too much. You should think. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't think, but also don't overthink. Just take those deep breaths and allow yourself to you know what's right and wrong, and go with what you feel. Go with what you feel is the best decision in that moment, truthfully, and then go from there. So that's the challenge this week going into next week. And I think also what me and Josh are going to talk about as well is, so we're going to start doing these challenges. I'm going to start doing more videos, a little bit different content aside from the podcast that we're doing as of right now. One of which, so we have a list of challenges. I'm going to post a picture up of the board.
It's basically, what is it? 30 days to enlightenment? What was it? It's not 30
challenge.
days.
It's just challenges to enlightenment.
It's a series of 30-day challenges for basically you to better yourself and do things that can challenge you to be a better you in separate ways, not just personally, but also societally, and also be able to like give you a new perspective on not just who you are, but what you want. So we're going to try to figure that out and gonna get you guys involved and see if you guys want to do any of these challenges with us, or if you all are down to challenge us on other things. That'd be fucking dope as well. So I'm down to be a better me at any time.
Exactly. And it's not going to be easy, trust me. It's going to be a struggle for both of us, I guarantee it 100%.
We're not here for easy, man.
We're not. And we'll be posting to our Instagram, we'll be posting to our Twitters, maybe Snapchat. Snapchat's an iffy one, maybe. And then of course we'll be posting videos to YouTube as well. So if you don't know, follow us on Twitter at Finish From Far. Same thing goes for the Instagram at Finish From Far. YouTube Far From Finished, which is, if you're watching this on YouTube, I assume you made it to where our videos are. Well, I hope.
Oh my god!
I'm hoping.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're new as well, if you don't know, If you don't know, yeah. So this podcast is where we stand for self love, self improvement, where we're here to learn about ourselves a little bit more, about our surroundings a little bit more, and kind of learning to coexist and work with each other and build and be better people every day.
We push for positivity and stand for change. What we're here to do, Dandy.
Yeah, we're working on it. No one's perfect, by the way. No one's perfect, but we're doing our best.
Why would you even aspire to be perfect?
You shouldn't.
Flaws is what makes you human.
It is exactly what makes you human. And on that note, Josh, I like you putting that. We're gonna do a little bit of a different episode. Usually, we're kind of informing, but giving our own opinions. Today, I think we're gonna dive a little bit into each other a little bit and what makes us ourselves, and the fact that we're not perfect. You know, no one's perfect, but also what that means and learning to accept ourselves. Why we become close friends and why we have the friends that we do. We've talked about in previous episodes. You know, the foundation that we have and how we've come together. But we're gonna dive a little bit deeper today and kind of unravel a little bit of these things, people that we are.
Peel back those layers of the onion.
Exactly. You know who said that?
Mr. Shrekky.
Well, I'm glad you know your movies, Josh. It was in fact Shrek, the first one.
Or, I mean, you could say Michael Myers since he played Shrek, but
Mike Myers, not Mike. Michael Myers was
is Mike not short for Michael?
potentially.
All right, let's be real.
Michael Myers was a murderer.
Okay.
He murdered people.
And Mike Myers was
on
Shrek.
Halloween.
Mike Myers was Shrek, but I guarantee his mother doesn't say Mike whenever she's mad at him.
Potentially.
I guarantee.
All right.
My name is Josh, but my mother doesn't call me Josh when she's mad at me. She says Joshua. Real.
I'm gonna start doing that when I'm mad at you.
You can't do it.
Joshua
Only
Moreno.
people I respect
Joshua
can call me
Moreno.
Joshua. And not you. No,
I'm
kidding.
That hurts.
No, I'm kidding. Honestly, it's not necessarily the people that I respect. It's more like I feel like Joshua is more of like a respectful way of like addressing me, and I feel like it has its setting. And I don't feel like a casual conversation with people that I talk to regularly, like that type of setting. Like I appreciate like whenever people do call me Joshua, I like feel more like distinguished for some reason. I don't know why. It is my name, but for some reason I do feel like a little bit more distinguished rather than just like when people say Josh. But at the same time, I think it has a time and place.
That's fair.
And people that get to say it. So fuck you, Daniel. Sorry, man. That list is really, it's like I got like 5 people that get to call me Joshua. I already got my A5 for T-Mobile. Sorry about it.
It's all good. I'm glad my name's just Daniel. So when people say Daniel, it's
But see, like
Daniel.
it's like if somebody calls you Dan though, you know what I mean? Like if everybody called you Dan and like only your mother called you Daniel, you know what I mean? Does that make more sense? That's kind of what I'm saying.
I mean, it's kind of like only one person called me Danny. I don't like that's like
You said Danny?
Danny, as in like not Dan. Danny is like Danny is one nickname I don't really like. I don't know why. That's like out of all the nicknames I've had at this point. Yeah, no, Danny is one I'm not fond of. But no one calls me except for one person. But I let them slide. I let them slide.
See,
And no one else is gonna call me that.
That's what it is with Joshua. I'm like, I'll let you slide since I have respect for you.
Yes.
But like,
no one else.
Not now, or you pick your times.
Exactly. You know what I've been thinking about recently? It's kind of been on my mind because we have this you could say argument or conversation, whichever. Which me saying that alone is kind of tie into this conversation. You know, you're a person, Josh, that really doesn't put a lot on words. You think words are just things that we say.
They really are.
But I feel like words have more. You know, words matter.
I think sentences matter.
I mean,
in the way that like you're saying that like words make sentences, but what I'm saying is if you can catch my point on like if you can catch what I'm trying to portray or the emotions that I'm trying to portray in the sentence, then don't worry about this misuse of a word here or like maybe a misuse of like a plural word here. You know what I mean? Like people are so grammatical with how you say things and the way you say things in like certain words, but if you don't put intent behind those words and you don't have an emotion tied to it, then it doesn't really mean anything. I could say goo goo gaga and that would mean just as much as me saying a word that you don't like, like something that is demeaning to some people, but there's no intent in me saying that word. I'm not saying it in a demeaning way or in things like of that nature. I understand that there's like history involved, but at the same time, what I'm trying to say is that a sentence matters way much more than a word, as far as like you can actually tell somebody's intent or emotion or what they're actually trying to portray, rather than just focus on one word that was said and seeing what you can do with that. Oh, that's bad. Oh, I have to react now. Or oh, that's okay. Like I'm good. You know what I mean? Like instead of hearing the whole sentence or maybe even the whole paragraph, you focus on one small word just so, and then you just react. That's what I try to say. Stupid.
But do you think that having or saying certain words can affect the way that you view the world? Because we've had the conversation of I don't believe in problems per se. Problems do exist. I'll give that. But
Yeah.
like personally for me, I don't see it as me having a problem. Rather, I say it's a life situation.
Right. Okay. So you're saying like do okay, so are you trying to say
Like,
like
does
do
it
we
affect how can words affect how you view your
I'm
life?
I'm sure they can, but only as much as you allow them to, in my opinion. Like the only reason you don't say problems is probably because you tie the word problems with something like you can't handle it or you can't control it,
Yeah, the connotation.
the connotation. But
Yeah,
at the same
absolutely.
time, you're only putting that meaning in there like in your own head. That connotation's being created by yourself. Nobody's creating it for you. Maybe you created it through somebody else's portrayal of a problem, but at the same time, you're tying the word problem to something that like that. So therefore, to like kind of affect you in a positive way, you're saying life situation, which it can affect you, I guess, as much as you allow it to. My point.
So I was reading this book. The author is Eckhart Tolle, I believe. Power of Now, really great book. I would highly recommend anybody who enjoys reading, or even if you don't, I would recommend reading it. It's more of a spiritual book, but you can read it either way, and I think it definitely would have an effect on your life and how you view life and how you take steps every day to kind of improve. But it one of the things in the very beginning of the book, actually, it talks about how whenever you read words, words do have meaning, in changing certain things, but at the same time, words are more of just you could say a ship, to
Mm-hmm.
getting, what you mean across. You shouldn't hold as much meaning in words per se as, more so as have it being more so of like a delivery system,
Okay. Yeah.
in the sense of people hold so much meaning on these words and they hold so much onto what people say, but you don't dig deeper and really find the meaning
Right.
behind
So
them.
like
What
basically if, in that analogy, if the word is the ship, then the intent is the cargo. And if you're not willing to find out what's in that cargo, you just see the ship and like react and say that shouldn't be there. It's gonna be, you're never gonna understand what the cargo actually is.
Yeah, and it's just like whenever I always say God. You can say God or universe, whatever you want, because it also had said when you say if you say God, that's okay. If you say universe, either way, it's whatever you view that presence as. Why do you need the word? Why is the word as important?
Right.
Why does the word matter so much? Why does it's not what the word is? It's more so what it
It
means.
represents.
Yeah, and you gotta the word's not gonna matter. It's what you feel that represents. And it's weird because I agree with you and I'm going to disagree with you because I think words matter because people of the way that people perceive things. But at the end of the day, words are just things we say. It's just like you've said before. They're what sounds.
Well, the thing that you have to understand is that words only mean something to you because somebody taught you that something, or a dictionary taught you that that word means this. But at the end of the day, it's like when you talk about like yeah, it's just it's perfect. It's just a sound. When you delve into another language, those are different sounds that mean different things. Like maybe the same word that you're trying to say is a different sound coming out of somebody's mouth, but it means the same thing. So therefore, it's just a sound, right? So at that point, whenever you understand that, it's like why people care about sounds rather than what the sound means. Because if I say a sound that it's like if I just speak gibberish, because I don't know every language in the world, that could mean something offensive to somebody somewhere, even if it's gibberish to me. I'm not saying that that's correct. I don't, like I said, there might be structure in language that like creates that to be not possible, but I don't really think that that's true. With me not knowing how many languages are even out there, if anyone even knows how many languages are even out there, with how undiscovered like certain jungles are and things like that, it's like I don't really want to sit here and have somebody that like lives in a house and has dogs and kids and a great life sit here and talk to me about the sound that's coming out of my mouth, how it offends them and that they can't handle it. And I'm just like, I can't care. Like, if I care about you, then I have to care about Sally down the road and George over here and fucking whoever else, Jerry that comes through and is offended by everything. Like, I can't care for the simple fact that it's a slippery slope.
I care about you. I gotta worry about everyone
And
else.
I'm not saying I don't care about like how people feel about what I say. It's like I can't care about how offended someone is over a sound that comes out of my mouth. It's not like, if as long as they're not willing to understand the intent behind that sound. If you're not like willing to understand what I'm saying or why I'm saying it, then don't react on what I have to say.
Sound's just a form of communication. It's
Right.
not this so much the sound that matters. It's more so the message behind the sound
Yeah.
that matters.
Because like at that point, it's like if someone's offended by something you say, they're portraying to you that you should care more about how they feel than you do, because they haven't taken the time to understand your intent. But now you have to take the time to understand their problem, right?
Yeah, that's a
Why
good
does that
point.
make sense?
It doesn't.
But it does to a lot of people. A lot of people think in that moment, it's like, I should say that right now because I have a problem, or I should act. I should do this because I have an issue. And it's like, this has nothing to do with you. Like that's a lot, like has a lot to do with like Twitter drama. It's like people will just like chime in on shit that has absolutely nothing to do with them, but have something to say and then get offended when people don't like what they have to say.
Why should I care about what you say if you're not gonna really care about
Or
it?
who I am, or where I'm coming from, or what my point is, where my thoughts are at. If you don't care about any of that, then why should I care about the issue that you've brought before me? I can treat you just like you're treating me and say your opinion doesn't matter.
The slippery slope.
Like, I'm offended by somebody being offended. At some points, it's like you can be offended, but if you have the take the time out of your day to come tell me like I'm a bad person for da 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 da, it's like I'm offended by that because you didn't have to do that. You took time out of your day, your work schedule, your kid's life, your whatever it is. You could have been eating right now or hit the gym or whatever the fuck you. You could have done anything else, but what you chose to do was come over here with some criticism that wasn't even constructive. That's terrible, I think.
It is. On that note, I'm gonna kind of say this and then move forward. But on what you just said on the last part is you had criticism. You know, they say one of the biggest problems that people have is, one, a lot of people listen to respond instead of listening to understand.
Right.
Which is, you realize that when you start listening to understand, it definitely changes the way you view things and the way that you understand people. I think that's very important. And the fact that most people, when you listen to respond, you're either listening to criticize, you're listening to condemn, or you're listening to judge whatever that person's saying.
Or support. I feel like if you like what they're saying, then you can.
No, but that's part of listening to understand. If you want, you know what I mean. If you're listening just to respond most of the time, just to put your say in it.
Well, you could say like, yeah, I agree with that. That's supporting their opinion without really understanding.
That's fair. I can say that.
I would add that in.
Yeah,
just for it. But yeah, judgment, criticism. What was the other thing?
Condemning.
Condemning. Okay.
Is most.
Okay.
Most people, they kind of, those are things that they usually do, which is, I think is not important. And just with that being said, going forward, I think a lot of the time people take these words and they kind of attach themselves to these words, which I think affects the image of not only themselves but the collective.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but when you put these power into these words, and don't get me wrong, some people you may not have the right to say what power goes into what words and whatnot, but also the fact, if you're putting all this power into this word, you're setting an image on what this word is for yourself.
Right.
And for all these other
and for other people, especially when you teach children things like this in school. Like, I mean, like if you were to teach a child in school that Native Americans were called Indians. That'd be incorrect. They were just called Indians by white people once they got here. If this is America, they were native here. They are Native Americans. But if they're taught to be Indians at any point in schooling, then that was because a white person said so.
But even you don't even need to call them. You can just call them Americans.
Right, you could. But what I'm saying is that like by any stretch of the imagination, they were only ever called Indians because that's where Christopher Columbus thought he was supposed to be
George
going.
Clooney.
That's what I was almost about to say.
George
for
Clooney
some reason,
founded America.
George Clooney was a
Great job.
conquistador.
Yeah, but Christopher Columbus.
But yeah, he's going to India, so they thought that the people they met there were Indians.
Here we are.
Exactly. But that's what I'm trying to say is like once you put an image on a word, you don't understand the power that image can create, not just for you, but and the people that are around you, but really the world and the world that you're shaping.
I think before you can even do that, though, you have to take a step back and understand your image and what your image is, and how you're displaying your image and what that even really means. Understanding who you are, because I think a lot of people now think that your image comes from how your image is how you display yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's I'm this or I'm that, and everyone wants to put on this face for people. Especially when you go online these days, it's I'm an activist or I'm this and I'm that.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it a lot all over Twitter. I'm gonna use this as an example because personally, this is my personal experience. So I'm gonna be able to give my best opinion based off of this. But so there is a section of Twitter called EDM Twitter. They definitely get a lot of shit, rightfully so. A lot of the time, I enjoy it, you know what I mean? But rightfully so. Do they get shit? But
when they say sections of Twitter, is this like I've heard of like Black Twitter, EDM Twitter,
sports Twitter?
Like, do you have to like type in the search bar like to get to this, or is it just like a more of a collective?
I'll let you know. So EDM Twitter, it starts, because people go to a lot of shows, raves, post a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Hashtags. It's crazy because when there's and since there's a lot of people already in this collective. You have like hashtag EDM Twitter and all this stuff, and then people were doing these things called follow trains. If you listen to EDM or you go to shows,
follow everybody that like this.
It's like drop your Snapchats, drop your Instagrams, drop your just put like if you want people to follow you, just put an emoji or something. So you put that, you're getting people following you all the way down. People use that to their advantage too and try to I'm a producer, DJ, and they'll follow you just to unfollow, which is you're lame for that regardless, in my opinion. You're not actually getting those follows. A lot of people do these follows for connections and to communicate. But where I was going with it was that there's a thing in the community called plur, which is peace, love, unity, respect, right? And people preach it all day long, and try to uphold this image of I'm plur and all this,
or like I'm following this lifestyle,
and they try to it's people call it player police, and then they try to get on someone's ass for not doing something that's plur, or for doing something, and then they get on your ass and someone's like that's not very plur, and then it becomes this whole mess. You can't really police anybody for the way that you can abide by those guidelines, but once you start judging people and breaking that barrier down and
calling them out and shit,
then you're just up trying to create this image, but you're not really following through with that, what you're setting yourself, what you're trying to tell people you are.
So you said it stands for peace, love, unity, and respect.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of like the opposite of unity to call somebody out for doing something?
Exactly. Isn't it kind of opposite of if they're not respecting somebody, are you not giving them the respect to express their opinions?
Are you not creating a wavelength for people to go disrespect this person?
And then people do.
If you're so, that's what I'm saying, is like if you're plur police or whatever it's called, I don't know this shit.
It's not actually called that. It's just like more of like.
But if that's what you're doing, if that's what you're going
policing,
for,
policing.
It's not very peaceful to call somebody out on the internet knowing that they'll get disrespected. Not very loving. Definitely not like unionizing anything, and it's definitely not respectful.
Exactly.
So like at any point, it's like you're stepping outside of everything you believe in just to make other people believe that you believe in it.
Exactly. And
that's almost more lame than fucking the people that are actually doing whatever's not peaceful or loving or unizing or respectful. Because like at that point, they're probably having a bad day. They might have just done some shit and got caught on camera. But like, say they were yelling at somebody in public or something. Like, they don't even got to be racist. Just yelling at somebody in public because they got caught on camera. Like the dude, the short dude that got caught yelling at like on camera, yelling at like ladies, talking about you
Oh,
gonna
and then
date me because I'm short, and then he gets knocked out. Like that dude. What I'm talking about is like that's not very peaceful or loving or unity or respectful. But the people that were calling him out and like saying it, that's almost just as bad. It's like, what do you think you're doing? You're better than him now, just because you just saw a video online of one day in his life where he maybe freaked the fuck out because maybe he was stressed out or who the fuck knows, maybe he even has mental illness, who the fuck knows. Not I. What I'm saying is that people posting this shit don't either. It's very peaceful, very loving,
but people,
super respectful.
yeah, people want to when it comes to, and that's what I'm saying is really understanding what image or understanding these things we try to make ourselves out to be. When you really break it down deeper, if you want to say, oh, I'm this good person or I'm this or I'm that, even if you don't, you know what I mean? If you're going out every day trying to put on like you're this type of person, who are you really when you go home at the end of the day? Who are you deep down, and who are you whenever it comes to the details in your life and making these decisions? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that also comes into just saying actions speak louder than words.
Right.
And it's a fine line all the time, because when you look at people in history, you have John Lennon or Mahatma Gandhi. These people, what do they stand for? What was their, like, they were icons.
Right.
And what do they mean to the people?
Right.
But then you look deeper into their lives, and it shows they were actually shitty people along the line.
I mean, in certain aspects, yeah. I mean, I think it's like it's most difficult to find somebody that's never been shitty. I don't mean that's never been a shitty person. I mean like never been shitty to anyone or anything ever. Not even once. Like if you can find me that person, I want to interview them because that's tough. There's a lot of days out here where I'm having a just god awful day, and if somebody's talking to me and it's just like, you mean nothing. If this person means nothing to me and I've never met them before, I would gladly treat them like shit if they were disrespecting me, or like if I even felt like they were. Gladly, I would do that 100 times out of 100 times. So to meet somebody that would do that 0 times out of 100 times, I would love to find that person just to ask them about their willpower and how the fuck they are doing this shit. Because there are a lot of fucked up people out here and a lot of stupid ass people out here that you have to deal with on a daily basis just for human interaction. I'm not talking about like my friends or family. I'm talking about just like, I'm a server, so I deal with this shit all the time, every day. But what I'm saying is like this shit, it's like, I don't know, man. It's crazy because it's like, why, how did it get here? Like, why did, I guess, I don't know. I don't remember as a kid like noticing as many like errors in society or faults in people's like mindsets or things that they were doing to themselves and then complaining about it. Like,
I mean, because you saw it through a different lens as well. When you're a kid, a lot of the time, you're giving, without you realizing, I think you're giving everyone the benefit of the doubt.
but isn't like whenever I see kids now, it's like kids know like what's going on. Kids are knowledgeable. Like I was knowledgeable, like not knowledgeable, but the ability to notice something is like it wasn't like not there when I was a kid. Like when I saw a homeless person, I didn't think they were just sitting on the street for the day.
Yeah, you knew
You know
people
what
were
I mean?
homeless, but you didn't really think about it deeply.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just weird, bro.
It is a different. And so what's the fine line between an image or an icon adverse to who they really are? Because let's say they are, it's even Malcolm X. They said he was a womanizer or whatever. Whatever you want to pin somebody on.
Mm-hmm.
So is it more so what they stand for and what they mean for the greater good, or is what they do behind that still just as important? Because when you look at people, if we're relating to people similar, Mr. Rogers, they're doing a movie on him now.
Mm-hmm.
That's one person. They say most of the time when you dig deeper on somebody, you're gonna find some kind of dirt. But then you look at him and you dig deeper, you find out he was just an even greater person.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just as important to hold those true behind? Is it more important to do things when no one's looking than it is to what the symbolism means to a greater amount of people?
I mean, it's always. I would say if something needs to be done, you should do it whether someone's looking or not. But it does mean more when you do it when no one's looking than whenever someone is, because if you're doing it when someone's looking, there's always a 50-50 chance that you're doing it because they're looking.
I was looking in terms when you watch a video of someone giving stuff to homeless people. It's a great act.
But why did you need to take a video of it?
But then at the same time, you're posting something positive, and maybe you're pushing for people to do the same. But if you really
but there's two different ways to do that. It's like if you're posting it and smiling and saying camera, not even like giving this person any time of day or even like the wherewithal to have a conversation with them. You're just there for the camera. Actually, like, I mean, I would say that it is positive to have like videos and like maybe even like posts of like people helping out in soup kitchens and things like that, as long as you see them not even understanding the camera exists. Somebody caught an off guard of me doing something, like I wouldn't feel bad about posting that because I knew that in that moment I was tuned in to helping or doing whatever I needed to do. If I'm tuned into the camera, if I even know that the camera is on, like there's, like I said, it's always going to be a 50-50 chance of I was only doing that for the.
I mean, yeah, there's always the chance that you are doing that for the camera, and that's why there's a fine line. But once again, is that if it's reaching this audience of people, because I always think about this every day when I think about bettering myself. Is we do these videos, and one of the biggest reasons I do these videos is because I believe in personal change. I believe in change at a level so deep that it changes how you live. And a lot of people say people can't change, but through the events that I've gone in my life, growing up, I didn't have a lot, and I always kind of understood that, and I didn't really ask that much of my parents. But also at the same time, I've had my vices and things that I can't say I'm perfect about. But it's also when I look at my life and I look at these things, I do this to understand that I've made that change personally every day. I've come to on a deeper level, and I really want to be better. So it's at the point when I'm doing stuff like this, is that me just doing it? It kind of is. I know why I'm truly doing it, but it's some people are gonna see it as maybe he's just doing that.
Well, it doesn't matter what everyone thinks. I mean, I would put it this way. It's like do you really think that Basquiat was fucking creating his art for in his head? Do you think whenever he was painting that he actually had the thought in his head like somebody's gonna not like this, or this is gonna be the determining factor of how good or what good this does is gonna be somebody else's opinion? No. Art is kind of it's always gonna be subjective in the way that it can make different people feel different ways, but the meaning behind it is only as subjective as the artist allows it to be. Because for you to tell me what my art means to me is for you to act like you're me, and you're not. You can't, unless you've picked my brain enough to know what exactly I meant by that or why I'm doing what I'm doing, then you're making decisions for me. You're making thoughts for me, which isn't fair, and people do it all the time. But that doesn't mean it's necessary or even exists just because people do it. People act like if a song comes out and they didn't like it, it's like that was trash. Like, well, the artist didn't make it for you then. You didn't like it. Sorry. Tough. But that doesn't mean the artist's going to stop making music just because you thought that song was trash. Or even if you thought his whole album was trash. Wasn't made for you. Sorry. Art is subjective. But the creation of it isn't.
That's understandable. Well, in a sense, it can't. I mean, in a sense, the creation still can be potentially subjective. But I always look at
the creation of it is more objective.
Objective, yeah, okay, fair enough. And when I look at like art, I always look at things in terms of, a lot of people see art as escape, right? I mean, you do have people who do art just for money now, or doing things just to make money because you can now because of the platform and what you're given. But when you think of artists truly and deep down, and this is something I really always relate to whenever I think of people with images, because the true artist is gonna, people see it as an escape sometimes, but I think when they're doing art like truthfully and they're feeling that, it's not necessarily an escape, but you're getting closer to who you're really getting more in touch with, what you're feeling, and who, like, these emotions that you can't necessarily explain, or these thoughts that you can't necessarily explain. You're able to express yourself through this work of art, and whatever the medium may be, you're able to get closer and kind of understand yourself a little bit better. In those moments, you're understanding yourself better than you do at any other point.
Right.
And that's why it feels like an escape, because in that moment, you're understanding who you are more so than you do at any other point. And I always look at, okay, so who's giving, when I think of a true artist, or someone who's taking down these walls of image to personality, which is when I look at my favorite artist, right? We were talking about Drake earlier. I'm saying, personally, I think he's mediocre. I think his music's great, don't get me wrong. I think he's good. Like, I think he puts out hits. But when I say mediocre, I'm speaking in terms of, like, I just feel like it's not as much originality. Like, in his heyday, he's still in his heyday, but in the past, when he was first starting out, he had set a tone. He was that singing and rapping. He set a tone for a whole nother generation to come up.
Right.
But I feel like now, you just can't. Personally, for me, I can't feel him as a person.
I mean,
his personality and who he is, and through his art, it kind of seems like it's mixed up. It's more so kind of going for hits rather than, like, I'm not feeling the artist.
Well, I would attribute that the mediocrity that you're putting into your thoughts of him into the evolution of yourself more than anything, rather the evolution of him or his music. Because, put it this way, it's like, you remember listening to Eminem all the time when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
What's the last Eminem album that you've heard? He had an album that dropped last year.
Yeah,
did you listen to it?
I don't think he evolved as an artist.
But that's one way of looking at it, because
but he stayed true to himself. I'll give him that.
Put it this way: it's like, you're a really big fan of Kid Cudi, but not all Kid Cudi fans liked his rock album.
I loved it,
but not everybody did, and people thought it was mediocre. The media thought it was mediocre.
But you know why I loved it?
Why?
It's because regardless, you could feel whatever he was feeling in that moment. You could feel like he was going to depths within himself that you could feel.
My argument is that, have you actually listened to Drake or Eminem to the extent of understanding what they were going for? If not, then how do you know that they're mediocre, or that you can't feel what they feel in their art? And if you don't know that, you're speaking out your ass.
That's okay. That's fair. I guess that's going on to the point of subjectiveness,
right?
As we were talking on earlier. And to continue on that is, when you look at two people, right? You have one person that has $1 million, one person that has, let's say, $100.
Okay.
Person who has $1 million donates $10 million. Person with $100 gives everything they have to help somebody.
Right.
They give that last $100. Who's giving more at the end of the day?
It depends on which way you look at it, because sociologically, if you look at that, the person that just gave $10 million gave an outstanding $9,999,900 more than the other person. So he gave more. The other person gave everything they have, so they gave all that they could. So you could attribute that to being, like, more in, like, I guess, no, I mean, it's not more. It's like they gave, the way to say it is like, who gave, I guess, who made a more detrimental contribution at that point. Because the person that gave all that they had, I mean, that's great. Like, thank you. Like, that's very admirable, but that's $100. We just got 10 million. So, like, we're not really worried about that.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, in terms of who's really got more heart at the end of the day, is it
the person with that gave $100.
It's
right.
Because, and yeah, and what I'm,
they have more heart.
And what
that's like, they're not creating or change or creating a better contribution or
potentially. It depends on who you're inspiring and who sees that.
I get.
Because in what terms I'm saying is sometimes in what I was like relating this back to earlier is when you're looking at someone who's reaching a large audience adverse to someone who's just doing that every day because that's what they truly believe in and that's what they love. If the person who's pouring their heart and soul into everything and giving it all they got every day, let's say the person who off the screen is still, they might not have as many views, but every day off the screen, they're going to these places. They're spending all their time giving everything they've got into this. And the person who's reaching this whole audience, they may be pushing for positivity, but they're not really doing the actions behind the screen. They're reaching more people, and they might be inspiring a larger audience, but at the end of the day, it's at which point does it really matter? Does it matter if you're really making that stuff happen every day, or is it the person that's reaching a larger audience?
The audience gets to decide, because in that, like, a better way to like make that like analogy would not be to say like the contribution. It would be to say if you needed $50 right now, and there's two people that can give you $50. One of them only has $50. The other person has $100. They can give you 50 and still have 50 for themselves. They can give you 50 and have nothing for themselves. So you being the audience in that analogy, what would mean more to you? This would. The only person that only has $50 would. The other person would still mean something because you got your $50, but it wouldn't mean as much as the person that gave you all their had. So it would be up to like how you felt about it. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's true. And I don't know, when I look at people and when I look at how people view those types of things, I don't think people really look at behind the scenes. People are just looking, what does this person have, or what are they saying rather than what is going on behind this. What are the motives, or what? I mean, motives may matter. They do matter, but not as much as the extent to what are they doing to make, like, what actions are they putting in behind their words, or what do you really know what's going on? An example of someone, saying something and it's like you don't really know. Kylie Jenner, there's that whole thing with the Rise and Shine. There was a company, they said she sent a cease and desist letter to them because she was using the Rise and Shine on her clothes from that video she made.
Mm-hmm.
But there's already a company that had a Rise and Shine shirt, whatever, from 2017. They were saying she sent a cease and desist letter to them. But then she posted and said, "Fake news, don't believe everything that you read. I never sent that cease and desist letter." And then people were like, "See, she wouldn't do that." And I'm just sitting here thinking, she literally just said, "Don't believe everything that you read." And who's to say that what she's saying is true? Because she's this icon, so to speak, or she has this image. Just because she has that platform, who's to say that she's right? And she literally opened it up. Don't believe with everything that you read, and you're gonna just go ahead and believe that. Does that not go against everything that she just said?
It's like yeah, and like that's what I'm saying. It's like, so the person who reads that is gonna either see the first part of that message or the second part and react. Either see the don't believe everything you read. All right, cool. I don't need to even read because she could literally be lying to me just to prove her point from the first part. But if you don't read the first part or don't care about it, and the second part, and because you're a fan or you care about her daughter or whatever, whoever, I don't care, it doesn't matter. But if you only see that second part and believe everything she says, then you're an idiot. So I mean, good job. But she could be telling the truth, but who cares? In my opinion. I mean, the Rise and Shine company does, but they have that business going on behind doors. Who cares on Twitter is what I'm trying to say.
A lot of people.
For what reason?
Worried about exactly my point. And I think those things set images for a lot of people. I think those types of things set this place of what people think the world is, or think that that's what reality is.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact that's the reality isn't necessarily always what you see.
Right.
The reality is in fact what you're doing every day in your life. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I want to say is whenever you start really making those changes to yourself every day, that's when your reality around you starts to change. And that's when things start to get real. It's not just, I could make these videos every week and do this podcast every week and give off a fake message and not live by what I'm saying.
Right.
And I could still make this podcast big potentially.
Bro, like we was watching that slasher show the other day, and it was like one of the ladies like she made a fake news story, like basically like in defamation of some other dude, and like because that dude killed himself, he had another story about it, and like that story, she was bragging about how that story kept her business up, kept her like whatever it was, a production company or newspaper business or whatever it was. Like she was like not bragging about it, but she wasn't like remorseful. She was almost proud.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm saying is like people will literally go to links to get famous or get viral or do whatever it takes to get seen by everyone, not just the right person but everyone. People need everybody's eyes on them because everybody's looking at Kylie Jenner, or everybody's like people think that because they have a phone they're special, and that doesn't make you special. What makes you special is what you're unique at, what you're talented with, do with your everyday life, how you can help people, how you can help yourself, how you can do things that are going to create a better society. If you can't do none of that and all you can do is just be an asshole with a phone, please exit every society that I live in. I don't need that. It's not productive for me.
And with that being said, you know, all these people do see the world like that. And, you know, that's why you see a lot of flashy things now, and people trying to flex for people is because they want to, you know, you can get all these views. And we had a podcast about ego not that long ago as well. I'll go check that out if y'all haven't already. But when it comes to your ego as well, it thinks it's to keep it strong, to keep your ego strong, and to keep it powerful. People believe, oh, I got to make these people think like I have this or I have that, or I'm this type of person, or I got to show people I have this type, or I got to be dominant, I got to have power.
Right.
You know, if you're in an argument, I have to win this argument. I got to be superior to give it power. But where the real, and it sees the weakness. You know, we've talked about vulnerability so many times. It sees that as weakness. But the real strength is being able to be vulnerable and still continue every day and not let people, you know, vulnerability doesn't mean I'm going to let you run all over me. Because if anything, ego is, okay, let me put it in the perspective like this. Your ego, if you're letting people run all over you, it's because you're scared to lose that person, or you're in fear of losing
being
that,
inferior to them.
And having that attachment go away. But true vulnerability and true understanding what you are aside from that ego is true strength, because you're realizing I am here and I can get through anything and I'm capable of whatever I want regardless of these outside things. I have these outside things because that's what I love. And when you really take love into account and you start having these things that you love around you rather than these things you feel like you need or feel like are important, that's true strength, because that's when things start to change.
Right. It's like it's kind of like being vulnerable isn't saying please attack me. It's saying I'm gonna give you the opportunity to, just to see what you do, because I'm here doing what I want to do, and I'm never gonna stop doing that. But if you try to impede on that, then I'm gonna understand and take a step back.
Exactly. I don't need to prove. You don't have to prove something to people. Proving is not strength, in my opinion. If you have to prove something to somebody, you're in the wrong position already. You're around the wrong people. You're in the wrong situation if you have to prove yourself, period. You're going to prove yourself through your actions regardless by doing what you love. Don't worry about anything else. You continue to do what you love and what you want, you're not going to have to prove anything, because you're going to be doing what you want. And you're proving to yourself you're capable of doing these things.
It's going back into like actions speak louder than words. I mean, if a lady has to tell you she's a lady, she's probably not.
Yeah, if you got to keep reassuring people.
If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, probably a duck.
It's the same as someone saying, I'm a humble person, or I'm a genuine person. You might have been before you said that, but now that you told me you're a genuine person, it kind of takes away from the genuine factor of you being a genuine person.
It's like, I'm like, yeah, you know, why would you even have the necessity to say that? Like, have you been ingenuine lately?
You know what I mean?
Like I've not. So I'm always awake unless I'm asleep, but when I wake up, I don't say awake. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I'm awake.
I don't have to like say that. And
Like, are you? I couldn't
I don't
tell.
I don't have to do that because it's like known. It's a known fact. Like, so therefore, if you're trying to say like I help people, like, okay, well, like, I mean, nobody even asked you what kind of charity work you do or anything. Like, you want to tell us about that so we can see where this goes? Because I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? You help people in what way? By tweeting every day so they can fucking pay attention? Is that helping people? In your
Hashtag
thoughts and prayers? Yeah,
thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. Fuck yeah.
Killing them. Oh man, it what really goes through my head too every day when I look at these things, and you can say I'm overanalyzing, but I really like to take in everything around me and really, I don't try understanding myself anymore because I understand that I just am and I'm a being, and the only way to do anything, the only way to exist is to just do. You know what I mean? If I want to do something, do it.
Right.
Thinking about it is not going to create the reality. But what I things I do think about when I look at the world every day is when you walk out the door every day, you're putting on a face.
A mask of sorts.
Yeah, mask. Not everyone does that per se, you know, and that's why I have respect for certain types of assholes in a way. You know, the people that don't care what you have to say, they don't care what your opinion is. They may not be necessarily going out of the way to be rude. They might just tell you, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you, or get out of my face. That may seem rude. It's more honest than anything, in my opinion. And people that don't, they're not worried about what you have to say. They're not worried about what that person, and it could be, and they might not want to talk to anybody because of things that have happened in their past. And I'm willing to understand that rather than someone every day that's going to sit there and pretend to be, oh, I'm this nice person, or I'm this good person, or
but do you think it's even like a conscious decision to put that mask on?
No, sometimes it's not. Okay, look, girls don't hate me when I say this. This is definitely a controversial statement, but I personally think it's just okay. Yes, I'm gonna start by saying this. Whenever I dress up or whatever, do I want to look good for other people? Yes. Do I also dress up for myself? Yes, but there's still that factor. I'm dressing up for myself also, but I'm also dressing up to look good
for other people
as well.
Are you trying to attribute that to makeup?
Yes.
Okay, I feel you. I would only say like, so
makeup is an art though. Don't get me wrong. So is dressing. Fashion is also an art.
Yeah, both of them are arts. But I see what you're trying to say. But at the same time, I would argue it's more of like it's kind of like society beats it into women to say like you better wear makeup just from the simple fact of little girls watching their parents put on makeup.
And that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
It's not even
like something that's taught, but it's almost not even taught because that woman was the woman that's not even teaching their children about makeup, just putting their makeup on in the morning and their children see that. That person was a child one day who just saw their mother do that. And that mother was a child one day who saw their mother. So it's not even something that's really taught until like it becomes like the time in a little girl's life whenever she's like, "Mommy, I'm trying to do makeup. Can you teach me how?"
And you're doing that
because your mother's doing it. That's your true. Mother. You know what I mean? Like you see her every day of your entire life until you're
you want to do the makeup because
adult.
Your mom's doing the makeup,
right? But it's also your mom's doing it because her mom's doing it. But like it all started with back in the day whenever society made females think they're inferior unless they looked to a certain extent.
And that's what I'm relating to is when you say, is it conscious always? No, it could be a subconscious thing, something that's all just in the back of the head because of something that happened down the road. But it's subconsciously there's a reason behind that. So we're not always
that's
consciously.
More of like a physical mask, though.
No, but I'm relating like that it's the same thing with
personal, like.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's still subconscious, regardless. It's because of things that may have happened in your childhood. So
what I'm saying is it ever of situations where it's where people like understand that they're like fucked up and like feel a certain way, and then like tell themselves like, hey, yeah, so I'm gonna just be fake to everybody I ever meet.
Yeah, there are people to get ahead that consciously put on a mask. There are people who go into work and put on a mask because they feel like they have to. So there's people who do that every day because they feel like.
Now that I say that, honestly, there's
a lot of people.
There's a lot of every male on earth puts on a mask just to get laid. Just like
I would never put on a mask.
I mean, what I'm saying is like, first of all, I've seen you do it in certain situations. Not like I'm gonna change everything that I am, but just like the simple like a girl telling you she likes something, and you're like, oh yeah, I like that too. It's almost like instinctual just to make
I
conversation.
can't say that.
Just to make conversation. You've done it.
Have I?
Mm-hmm.
Did I like something when I didn't?
I'm not gonna get into it, but personally, what I'm saying is like
I
that I do see that it is conscious to say it's not. It's actually like kind of subconscious too, because it's not like you're telling yourself like I'm gonna lie to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm just trying to make conversation be relatable.
I mean, dude, I just want to say because I don't remember that. This is a little off note, but I feel like wasn't like I'm probably liked it. I might not have liked it to the extent of like, oh yeah, that's something I do all the time. But I probably, in the sense, was like, I mean, yeah, I like it. I'm not a huge fan.
I've seen you act out of character. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, I mean, for sure, I've acted out of character. I've acted out of character before.
In a sense, putting on a mask.
Fair point.
You're
it's
welcome.
Tough. No, once again, it's something I work on every day. You know,
something everybody works on.
To just be genuinely yourself, and it's a tough thing because sometimes you try to accommodate to people and you try to work to different people, but you can't always do that.
Right.
And you shouldn't really do that because the right people are going to come to you when it's that time. But yeah, people do definitely consciously put on a mask. They're thinking constantly. I'm gonna take this pause. I'm gonna let you do your thing.
No,
real
you're
quick.
good. Keep going. Why are you doing this? Just
Right,
throw the beer, bro.
We're gonna pause it. Yeah, we definitely did all that for. It's distracting. It's definitely distracting. We're gonna have to cut that. We're gonna have to cut part of this, Joel, for sure.
You didn't have to. You could have.
Dude, that's distracting as fuck.
To you?
Exactly.
You didn't have to do that. You could have just thrown me the fucking beer. I don't even think it rolled into the camera.
Fuck it.
It's all good.
All right. You're just gonna show up with a beer now.
I had a beer earlier.
No, it's gonna be kind of tight. No, all I'm saying is just gonna be like. All right, so I definitely do. Wait, are we good?
They can't hear us over here,
Okay,
bro.
cool. So I definitely do believe that people consciously make these decisions to put on masks because either they don't like who they are or they have some kind of motive and they want to do all these things.
Right.
But people definitely do consciously put on these masks, but I think people subconsciously also do put on these masks as well because they may not be thinking, oh, this is for somebody, but just the way society works, especially with social media now and just media in general, movies, TV shows, you start watching these things from a young age and see all these things, so you think, oh, maybe I should act this way or this is how I'm supposed to do things, even if it's against how you truly feel deep down, because you're a certain person when you go home at night, and then you can be a different person when you go out because you feel like this is how you're supposed to do things rather than what you really feel like you're supposed to do.
Right.
Not everyone's gonna think that deep about it though.
Yes, that's true, but at the same time, I feel like everybody has a certain understanding of what they want, even if they tell themselves they don't. Like, it's like if you really are gonna sit here and try to tell me you don't know what you want at all, then you haven't thought about it. But I really think you do know. Like, I think you're just not either you just don't want to tell me, or you don't feel comfortable with the answer, or whatever it is. It's more times than not, that's my perspective on it. It's like if somebody doesn't want to tell you something, it's not because they really don't know. Not because they have no answer that they can possibly give you. It's probably because they have the answer and they're not comfortable with sharing it with you or with anyone or with themselves.
I think that's something that everyone should work on.
Probably, but how do you work on that? How do you work on comfortability with things that you may or may not like about yourself and sharing those things with other people? It's like one of the most difficult things in the world.
It is. And
it's like, put it as like, if you could just go back to the conversation about art. It's like if you're an artist, this thing that you created means everything in the world to you. You could be it's extremely vulnerable to share it because it could get shit on. That means everything in the world to you.
Artists are beautiful.
Right.
A lot of them.
But at the same time, that's what I'm trying to say is like it's one of the most scary things, but how do you really do that? Like, you have to kind of just can't train yourself to do that. You have to just dive in.
Yeah, and you're right, and it's tough because there are people who share these things with certain people that they think they trust, and those people
fuck them over.
Exactly, and that stuff happens, and it's terrible. And another example is, there's girls out there that, or guys even, that get told certain things growing up, over and over and over again, and they want to do something, but then some. Okay, for example, let's say you want to be uh you want to be a dancer, or let's say you want to be a writer,
Mm-hmm.
per se, writer or dancer, whatever it may be. Someone's just,
Like a horseback rider.
I was saying writer, but yes, we'll go with horseback rider. But someone just keeps telling you, "Oh, you look good," like, and like people just focus on your looks over and over and over and over again. But you're more than just that. That's all ever people ever pertain to you and attach that to you.
Right.
Eventually, at some point, you're gonna think you're not good enough for these other things.
Right. And
Subconsciously, even, you know what I mean, or like it's gonna stick with you.
It could just be as something like practicality. Like if you want to be a DJ,
Yeah.
people are like, that's not very practical. You should be an engineer, or you should get into the tech business because that's where the future's at. Or you should become a nurse because people are always going to be getting hurt no matter what's going on. It's like that's just the most practical decision. That doesn't mean that's what I want to do. But if you get told it enough, you'll get to start thinking that what you want to do it really, really, really isn't practical. Like to the point where you shouldn't do it. And that's where people get caught up.
And and that stuff, it sticks with you regardless of what you think or not. And you're right, it is tough whenever you're vulnerable. How do you tell these things that you want to feel? That's what part of what we do here is for, Josh. You know, we make these so that we can build these communities, and we can build, and by community I don't mean, a whole town or whatever, but I mean
a whole town.
Okay, we could do it. We're building the
Triple F town.
We're building the Roman Empire one step at a time.
Triple F town coming soon.
What's it called?
Triple F
Far
town.
From Finished. Oh yeah. With that being said, I'll just stick this in here. We're starting a Facebook group called Far From Finished on Facebook. That's why it's a Facebook group. But we're gonna be posting different events, so people can get involved, talk with each other. It's gonna be a very welcoming, and where people can express themselves and kind of get more people involved in their communities. And it's just something that we really want to build. Of course, it's gonna take time, but it's just something to let you know about.
Infrastructure.
Exactly. So, nice word thrown in there. Yeah, wasn't surprised at this point, Josh. But
pleasant surprises.
Building, these communities, which is, just groups of people with this mindset of allowing ourselves to be who we are, just truthfully, just down to the core, allowing everyone to be who they are. Yeah, which starts with you allowing yourself to be who you are. And when you let other people get away with stuff, you gotta let yourself also. You gotta learn how to love yourself and forgive yourself for certain things. Doesn't mean you should keep fucking up. Don't continue to mess up, because when you start messing up over and over again,
you can continue to mess up if you're learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, that's.
Messing up in different ways is understood.
If you're doing the same thing over and over again,
dumb.
You're not progressing or moving forward. And whenever you go out, so you're not always gonna know how to do that or what you're doing, so it is really tough, but you'll figure it out eventually. And it kind of goes, whenever you're doing these things, is there originality in what you're doing if you're kind of basing your stuff off of all these other things going off in your life as well? I always think about that as well. Is it, at what point are you being your original self, being authentic, or is that a capability at this point because of all these past things that have happened? Is it all predetermined based on all these things that have happened in the past?
Or not even just like that, but also like government and maybe even just society around you and just the town, the things set up for me to be doing what I'm doing right now, where I'm at. And I don't know, I think about that a lot. It's like, as far as history goes, like history has repeated itself many times in many ways, as far as like cultures and societies, like through like mass extinctions and things like that, or like mass genocides. No matter what, for some reason history decides to repeat itself over and over again in nature. So with that being said, it's kind of like difficult for me to understand whether or not history is just repeating itself and I'm just along for the ride, or if I'm creating the history that won't repeat itself, or if we as a collective are changing the history or the course of history.
I think that it's more the second one. I believe that that's a possibility, but that's going to start with each one of us creating that collective.
But what do you really like? That's what I'm saying. It's like, how do you create a collective in a world that doesn't
You can't say that everyone's gonna hop on the train. But what I'm saying
But
is you
you
can
don't
get a
need
good majority.
everyone.
Yeah, you
You
can get
don't need everyone, and you don't even need the majority. You really need a group of 12 families.
that's a talk. That's a talk for another time. But no, if you want to create a change, I think that we don't need even a majority. You can create your own little world in a sense. You can start making changes to the world when you start making changes and stuff. And of course, it's gonna take more people, but all it takes is that one person. Chain reaction.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just like I guess the hardest part about anything and everything is that to have a collective, you almost need someone leading that collective in the right direction. But in the world we have today, it's like, who the fuck are you gonna say? Yeah, I'll listen to you. I'll be our leader, bro. Do whatever you want. Like for the betterment of the collective, for the greater good. Like you're our leader. Like who? Name a person
I think that one of
that
the
you would like follow wholeheartedly and not
right.
even question any of their decisions.
Right now it's hard for me to even find a mentor.
Exactly.
My mentors are just the people I have around me. Most of the time, people I learn from and kind of figure things out from are books that I read. The authors.
Exactly.
I haven't found one person where I look at. You're someone I can follow after.
And like, see, the only people that you could even really put into that conversation are like Elon Musk, and the only reason you put him into that conversation isn't really because of his beliefs or his motives. It's because that man's smart as fuck, and he's doing shit we can't even fathom, shit that we can't do, like, or nobody's even thinking of doing, except for the people on his team. So like, those, like, it's like you don't even really know what you're getting yourself into. You just kind of like what that ride would look like. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. If I were to follow someone or I was gonna have someone to mentor me, it would 100% be Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna lie. That man's just so knowledgeable
See,
about so many things.
but the thing about that is like, what makes you think he would even want to mentor you?
Probably wouldn't.
But not even just you. What I'm
He
saying
probably wouldn't
is
even want to
like
lead anybody.
exactly. That's my point. Is like, even if there was a perfect candidate to lead that collective that we're talking about, really think they would want to do that? Fuck no. They got way better shit to do than handle fucking millions of people that don't know how to get their own shit together.
That's the toughest part. Most people who should lead don't want to.
Because it's annoying.
Lead
and
by example.
Right, but they are leading by example.
100%.
They're not leading by leading. They're leading by example.
And those are I don't think there should ever be a leader. There should be people leading
a
by
collective, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm saying is somebody
yeah.
has to gather that collective. Somebody has to be a representative for that collective.
I mean, yeah.
Or a group of council or whatever you want.
Like a face. You should have a face.
Not even just like a face, but somebody should be directing that. Because I don't want Tommy from the trailer park leading my fucking collective. Sorry. Like I just want an established philanthropist that's also educated, maybe even has cares in fucking foreign lands. First of all, I'm worried about getting our shit together and get everything handled, and then we can worry about foreign lands as well. But like, really, as long as like we can have somebody that's willing to work with foreign lands to actually get to us and make things peaceful and bring a collective society that can run helping each other, then that would be awesome. But that's fantasy.
I mean, who's to say that we couldn't be the people leading the collective? You wouldn't want to lead the collective.
Fuck no.
I wouldn't either personally. But
I would like for it to exist, and I may even be a part of it. But I wouldn't even die on that hill. Like,
this is the thing. If I was gonna look for someone who's gonna be a leader, it's gonna be someone that doesn't necessarily want to be the leader, but the person that's best fit to be the leader. That's the leader you want. The person who's like, I could care less about being the leader, but is a good leader. The person who leads from behind is what I always think of is the person who leads from the front isn't always the best leader. They're needed. Yeah. It's the person who leads from behind.
You gotta think about it like a wolf pack. Like a wolf pack, like the most aggressive and like not like most aggressive, but most like primal and like I guess like protective of the group, be at the front to attack anybody. But the wolves at the back are the elders, wise wolves, ones that are making sure the young stay in line, making sure that they got everything, nothing comes from behind. They've been through. They're making sure that where they need to be. Not necessarily. They're like you said. They're really the leaders. The people in the front are really just like they're leading as far as direction.
Yeah,
but they're not really leading as far as protection. because if this cub gets over here, then that just draws the whole fucking pack over here. You know what I mean? Or if spreads out, and it's and especially in an attack, whenever like a predator's attacking, if the ones at the front are fucking busy defending or getting fucked up, those at the back gotta gather everybody like, yo, we finna, the young, the people that can't fight, get your ass over here, we'll protect you, you know, take care of you even if they die.
And I think if there's a collective, you're gonna need a little bit of both. You're gonna need someone who's smart and knowledgeable in the front but knows their role, and then you're gonna need the people in the back that are not necessarily like saying I'm leading, but they're really the ones in the, you know, you got the people that are sitting there, they're more so strategically saying
It's gonna take like more than any, more than leadership. It's gonna take compassion.
100 is love. That's what I say will guide me through anything in life is love. And people say that's stupid, but I mean, prove me wrong, because it's not. No one's proved me wrong yet.
It's not necessarily stupid. It's just reckless. That's all it is. Because I mean, like, for you to understand what love is to kind of understand other people's intentions. And when you don't really know what those are at all times, it's kind of difficult to base your decisions off the love that you feel from other people.
But you have to also decide.
You can feel like love in yourself and love in the world and base your actions off of that. But if you're basing any of your decisions or actions off of anybody else's love for you or your love for them,
oh no, don't do that,
or your love for them, then it can get tricky. Because if you base your decisions off of your love for someone else, then you're kind of, I guess that's good in a sense, but they could be manipulated or taking advantage of you. In many senses, that's the case. Look at the Ted Bundy trials.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I think that's also a part of because you know, you'll see by what people do for you. If someone really loves you, they're gonna go over and beyond to do things for you.
And some people do.
Not necessarily over and beyond, but if they're gonna do, yeah, I guess, you know.
What I'm saying is, some people do just to let you ease into that, so they can take advantage. You have to pay attention out here. You have to pay attention to a lot. It's not just today's actions. It's yesterday's and tomorrow's too.
It is. I mean, I guess that also that goes back to what we're saying is, you know, how does one, you know, break down themselves, and when, you know, when it's tough because you don't necessarily know it, or always know people's intentions, or you might get fucked over. So I mean, if we're talking about how to break down these barriers for yourself, even learn to love yourself. You know, keep your head on the swivel. Don't get me wrong. Don't just, you know, I'm vulnerable, everyone look at me. No, you got to break down those barriers and say, look, this is who I am as a person. This is me.
Take everything with a grain of salt.
And like you got to know to a point you can't let them use that shit against you though.
No, you have to understand what leverage is.
Exactly.
And you have to understand how to not let people have leverage on you. It's a simple thing. I mean, it's not difficult.
I mean, it can be, but
it depends on how fucked up of a person you are. It can be.
Yeah.
But if you're doing what you need to be doing, you're who you say you are, loving your life, then it's simple as fuck. Nobody could ever have leverage on you.
And then at that point, you can allow other people to speak their truth. Because then you're allowing yourself to speak your truth, and then you start allowing other people to speak their truth. And then at that point, y'all can start coming together. Because people always want to get one ahead of somebody else. But the thing is, if y'all help each other out, then everybody's winning. It's like, why do you need to get one ahead? At the end of the day, you're just gonna set yourself back at some point.
People are on like some science class shit as far as that. It's like, if I present my project first, then that means everybody, that I set the bar, and everybody has to either do better than that or do worse. But the thing that people don't understand is that you don't have to do better than the person that set the bar. Like, if the person that set the bar got 100, you could still get a 95 and still have an A. Why do you have to be better than them? Present what you present. Do what you do. You did your research, you did your project. Present it the way you wanted to present it. It does not matter what grade that person got or what they got out of that. Doesn't matter how they felt while they were doing it and what they were saying, or unless they were presenting the exact same presentation that you have, which doesn't apply in a life sense, then you should be able to present what you have in a manner that you choose without any expectation of it being better or worse than anyone else's.
I wanna say that when people look at the term alpha, they see it more so as, you know, I'm in power, or I have more power, I'm the stronger person. I think really the alpha is the one that realizes, okay, you're gonna do you. You got your shit, but I'm still gonna do me regardless, and it doesn't matter what you say about my shit. I'm gonna do like, and that's what I'm saying. I
Right.
think it's weaker. It's more of a weakness to try to be. I'm gonna outdo you. I gotta be better than you because that's insecurity at a deeper level than you want to realize. If you're really trying to outdo me and be better than me, at some point you're insecure and you gotta prove yourself to me or these other people around you. So you're really more insecure and you're showing more of a beta type of personality. You might come out on top, but deep down you still a bitch. Watch my like excuse
Watch
my
my
language.
language.
Excuse my
Been cussing
language.
this whole
Excuse
time,
my
Daniel.
language. What?
So I've been cussing this whole time.
Fair enough, but
Daniel.
excuse my language anyways. But nah, if that's the case, then deep down you are worried and scared
You're
and
bitch made.
you have a fragile ego. You have a fragile ego because you're worried about what other people feel.
Yeah.
How they want to do. So you might, I'm Mr. Macho, or you might think I got to get ahead of you, or I'm gonna screw you over because then I'm on top, and then now, I've got the money, I've got the girls. So who are you proving what to?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what are you proving? Who are you trying to prove that to? You're not yourself.
I mean, that's why I purely like, maybe there, like, okay, so there is clinical anxiety, but whenever it comes to like somebody saying like my anxiety overtook me whenever their problem was like how somebody else felt about them or what they did or whatever it was, like I can't respect that like just that, like all the other anxiety I'm not talking about. Whatever you feel for like whatever is happening in your life, maybe it's like maybe one of your parents is on life support, you don't know if they're gonna make it, so it makes you anxious. Or maybe you have like a fucking bar exam coming up for a lawyer and you don't know if you're gonna pass. That may be acceptable. That may be acceptable in certain senses.
That's more so.
Whenever it comes to you actually having an anxiety attack because somebody didn't like your outfit or your fucking poem, that is that's just like what do you call that? You call that an anxiety attack? I call that you being bitch made.
You're worried about.
Because you're so much worried about other people's opinions that you allowed yourself to talk yourself into an anxiety attack. Because of somebody else's opinion on your art or your fucking outfit or your fucking speech or your beliefs or whatever the fuck it is, you allowed that, that's bitch made. But if it has something to do with like actual shit, like somebody's finna die, somebody's life is finna change forever, like
I'll say this,
that makes a little bit more sense.
Also, it sometimes it is a subconscious things from things that have happened over time in your life. No, because look, like with the anxiety that I do get, it's not like I'm not really overthinking anything because I'm not worried about it. And the reason I can get over it is because I understand what I'm feeling at that point. But like for me, it's still, when it arises, it's more so of a feeling. It's like I still am thinking of a lot of things, but I'm sitting there telling myself like, why am I even thinking this? But it affects my body more so. Like it's a feeling, you know what I mean? Like
right.
I feel like, and I feel like weird, and it's more of a body thing. I
okay.
think so it's more of a subconscious thing because my conscious, I'm telling myself I'm not really worried about any of this, but for some reason in the back of my head is like.
But what do you get anxious about?
It's just, I guess it is more so of just I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess it is my surroundings. Anxious about my surroundings and myself.
See, but that's more like existential angst, if anything. Like what? Like where do I belong?
Right now, yeah.
Or like, am I in the right place? Or am I doing what I should be doing?
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
not even really anxiety, in my opinion, because like that, and it's maybe you say it's physical, but at the same time, it's like it's not like you like whenever you say it's physical. Are you feeling like your body's on fire? Or are you feeling like you what is it, like you feel like you can't get up off the couch, or what is it?
Nah, it's not that intense.
Like a lack of motivation.
It's like a lack of motivation, like almost not quite shivers, but you can my body like it's like not like super shaking, but you can feel it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I can feel it. It's not like I'm not like sitting there like this.
So that to me sounds more like you like kind of getting more in tune with who you are more than anything. Like you having like a vibration in your body to say, like when you say like I don't know if I'm doing what I need to be doing, or if am I the person I need to be right now. That's something that probably most people never ask themselves. So that's you understanding I don't know myself enough. I need to learn where I'm at right now and where I'm going. That doesn't seem like a problem to me. may seem like a problem in the moment,
Yeah.
but at the same time, doesn't any surgery seem like a problem whenever you're getting it done? Doesn't it also need to be done?
Yeah.
Okay. So like that's what I'm trying to say is like if you see that type of anxiety as a problem, I guess I can understand it because you're not comfortable in that moment. But who the fuck told you get to be comfortable?
That's true.
Nobody. I mean, comfortability is a choice we all make. But that doesn't mean it's allowed.
And you have to be uncomfortable sometimes to end up making the changes that are necessary anyways. I mean, it's just crazy because everyone has a different upbringing, I mean, for me personally, a lot of the things that have got me through are, my mom and my stepdad too has helped me a lot. But my life wasn't always easy, so I guess seeing those things, but more importantly, having that love there helps you a lot, with your growth. And I don't think a lot of people have that, so they attach to things. They attach to material items or attach to these images, attach to
The way that people
feel about them. Because me, like I said earlier, I didn't have a lot of things growing up. Like I didn't get material items. I was shopping at Walmart. I didn't care about my shoes. I was never worried about that. I'm honestly surprised I did not get bullied. I'm gonna be straight, because if you knew me, I was what, like 3'2". You know what I'm saying?
he's like 4'6", 4'7" to like seventh
No,
grade.
no, yeah, no. In ninth grade, I was 4'10".
Yeah.
I didn't hit a growth spurt to like 10th, 11th grade, and then I got to 5'4", and then no, I think junior year I finally went to 5'8", which I am now. So I've always been super short. I never had really that many, like I never really had nice clothes, anything. But at the end of the day, I had someone there that cared about me. So I can understand why some people do attach to these things because they don't understand. And I'm sure you have your dad, and then your mom as well that always look out for you. Your dad may be on
My
your
brother
ass.
and shit.
Yeah, your brother too. They're on your ass a lot
I
consistently,
mean,
but
but even from the go, like I understand, like I don't know, man, like because I remember even back in like grade school when people would ridicule me for smoking weed and being a like they would call like I was smoking weed in fifth and sixth grade when I was 10, 11 years old. I don't give a fuck.
no,
I'm not.
I
I'm
mean,
not disappointed
I
in
can't say
myself.
anything. And my first time was like 7th, 8th grade, so
Yeah.
I can't say much.
Regardless, what I'm saying is that like I even then gave little to zero fucks about how people used to treat me and like talk to me and talk about me for the simple fact that I understood that they were children, just like I. And it's like I don't care if you don't like what I'm doing. You're a child. You mean nothing to me.
You're
Like
awesome.
you may be my friend sometimes, but if you're acting like this towards me, you're not my friend. Sorry. But the thing is, people used to talk down to me and treat me like inferior or like I'm stupid or lazy or I don't belong in these like pre-AP and AP classes just because I smoked weed.
That was me in high school.
And
Like,
what was funny about that is by the time I graduated high school, this I'm talking about like sixth grade. By the time I graduated high school, not one of those people that used to judge me had gone without smoking with me. All of them changed their perspective at some point in that time, decided, hey, I want to smoke weed. Josh, I know you smoke weed, man. You know where I can get some? I'm like, bro, yeah. I mean, in my head, I'm like, fuck you, you piece of shit. You used to talk shit to me. You used to act like I was an inferior, like, piece of shit out here. But now you want to come and ask me where you can get your fix. Ain't that funny? Huh? That's how life works. So like whenever I understood this shit, bro, it's like why am I sit here and give a fuck about how you feel about what I'm doing if I know just in a few years you gonna go back on your decision, and even if you don't, by then I'm never gonna be anywhere near you. Fuck you, and how you feel. I hope you have a good day though. I hope everything's going well for you. But I don't need you in my life. I'm gonna keep doing me. That's how I live.
That's all you
Have
can do.
lived for a while now. I mean, like that's just how it is. It's like why am I gonna sit beat myself bad kid,
But it's
or you think that I can't handle any type of whatever it is. If it's sports, if you think I'm inferior to you, I'm supposed to beat myself up about it because you feel that way. Why? Because you think so? Just because that's how society thinks that things are supposed to work. Somebody talks down to you, you're supposed to feel bad about it. That person is probably shitting their fucking pants trying to figure out where the fuck they're gonna get this money for rent. I don't give a fuck about them. Can't. not I don't have enough time in my day. Not like if you, there's I'm not on that wavelength to sit here and worry about people's opinions.
I never really worried about it either. I think because personally, going through stuff when, yeah, like you said, I went through similar things where people would try to tell me stuff that they thought was right. Now, there's an internet. Even at that age, there's an internet you can look stuff up on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could figure things out for yourself, but you're
Like
choosing not
I know
to.
your mommy has parental like security on that computer of yours, but if you type in the word weed, you maybe get a little bit more knowledge about what the fuck you're talking about. You
And it was
piece of
just
shit.
going through that also helped me to understand, help me to understand other people because I know that their lives are different. Who knows what their parents are telling them or what situations they've been in or what they have to go through every day, which is why I always give it most people the benefit of the doubt. If you're consistently, I try to talk to you and then you're still trying to come at me with some, I'm really just going to exit that situation because I know it's not good for me. I'm going to be like, you have your opinions and you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. And I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you anything because that's not for me to do. I'm not the one to sit here and judge you. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and try to change the way you think because I can't do that. You're going to do whatever you want. So you can do that over there. And I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do over here.
And so, like, honestly, like, for a while in my life, it's taken a lot for me to get here. But now I'm trying to practice restraint in the way that, like, for a long time, if somebody said some stupid shit to me, I'm going to have to sit there for another 30 minutes and tell them how stupid they are. Not just tell them how stupid they are, because I don't like doing that. I'm going to just break it down, let them tell themselves that, because they just, like, put it this way. It's like if somebody's like devoted to some cause or whatever, and you bring some information to them that makes them undevoted, it's like, bro, you've been out here for a long time to being devoted to this. You didn't know this? Like I gotta sit down. Come over here. Come on, like let's have a conversation, man. Like I gotta talk to you about this because you are wasting your time. Like you have to figure this shit out. There's a thing called the internet, like you said, and everybody has the availability to get it. You don't even need a fucking phone. Go to a nearby library, you piece of shit. Like, come on, man. Like, get your shit together. And like, that shit's funny to me because like, okay, so it used to be funny to me, but now I'm trying to take it to like a point where I can like restrain myself. It's like, really, it is me wasting my time
100%.
to sit here and point people's like, not like point. I'm not like trying to point out an issue in your life. I'm trying to point out an issue in your thing. Like the way that you put together thoughts. Why do you do it that way? I like to break that down with people. Like if somebody's tells me something, like, okay, so tell me more. Why do you feel that way? And if you can't explain the way that you feel about certain aspects or certain topics, and you can't explain, like, you can't go into depth about what you're saying, then stop saying it, in my opinion. That's how I try to treat certain situations when I talk to people now. It's like, if you like that's like kind of like trying to get somebody to understand that what they're talking about, maybe they know what they're talking about, but if there's more to it, then they should learn that more before they start preaching it to other people. And it's like kind of just it's more of an ignorant mindset for you to think that you know everything that you're talking about. And like also to not accept information from people. Like if you're trying to preach something to somebody and that person has something to say, but you're like, no. Like, what are you doing? Like, so you can preach to me, but I can't tell you you're wrong or right, or preach to you in a certain different aspect. Like, I don't understand that.
You'll never understand. On that note, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. But I wanted to say also because you said something, libraries do exist still, people. So if you want to go get any kind of knowledge, period, there's books there. You don't have to go to Barnes and Noble. You can get a library card. Books. Check out as many books as you want. And, some do have a limit. You return them. There's computers there as well. So if you don't have a phone or you don't have anything or you just want to go there, there's a lot of knowledge in a library. You don't have to go to a bookstore and buy books. There's a bunch of stuff in the library you can check. You can get movies. They have music there, so it depends on the library, but you'll have music. You can get movies,
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks. Is some cool stuff at the library. So that's just something I think people forget that it exists and Capitalism makes us forget things like that, but there's definitely you can learn for free. The possibility.
Well, I don't know about free.
Well,
It costs to have a library card, doesn't it?
it's I don't think it's expensive, like a one-time fee.
Is it? I
think
thought
it's
it was like a
one-time.
monthly fee. I don't really know.
I haven't been to a library in a while.
Yeah, I know it's you're preaching to libraries, but you haven't been.
I'm
to
saying,
one in a
okay, if
while.
you're gonna, I usually use the internet
right.
for things, but if you're gonna be someone who just goes and buys books, you can go check out books. They won't always have the books you want.
Sometimes people like book decoration, things like that, or like just like this book meant a lot to me, so I want it to be here in my house.
Yeah, no,
you know
I
what
have,
mean?
I have a lot of books like that. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I have books that
So,
mean a lot to me. That
But
I keep.
I think you can buy books from the library too. I think like you can check it out, and once you check it out, you can be like, so like this is the fee, and I have to bring it back by here. But if I want to buy it, can't I just?
I
Like,
think that's a
do it,
possibility
like,
as well. You might be able to do that.
or order them from the library for them to have, like, you know what I mean, for them to get them to sell to you,
Exactly.
or wherever they got them. I think you can do that. I don't know.
All right, and also I want to say, so don't forget that follow us on our Twitter and Instagram at Finish From Far on both. Also, we're gonna be doing a 30-day challenge coming up, and go. The challenge was go with what you feel. You know, if you're feeling a certain type of way, go with your better judgment as well. Don't overthink it. If you know, most people should know right from wrong. I understand a lot of people grow up in different situations, but try to really if you meditate and all that stuff, learn yourself a little bit better, learn surroundings, and go with what feels the best, and just kind of go off your instincts in that way, and see where life takes you. You know, and keep pushing yourself, keep trying to be better every day. That's what we're here for, is to push ourselves and then push each other. It's all about compassion. This is Far From Finished. Thank you so much for tuning in. Every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Go suck today's dick. Let's go.